I wrote them for other people too because I felt like hope always circles back. So the etymology of the word essay is to try. So I tried giving hope, and I'm going to try reading them today. So I'm going to read two or three of these letters. They're quite short. The first one is called Karachi Salamin and Unfinished Stories. It was written on March 17th, 2018. Hello. There is so much to write today. My father was an artist, and I've grown up seeing him inspired, lost in the canvas, his chisel swiping over the white in expert strokes it had taken him years to learn. And so, as his daughter, I've always been aware of art and all the forms it takes. And also, as his daughter, we had always planned to explore places that inspired us together. One of these places had been Frey Hall, and over the years, it became a father-daughter thing we had hoped to do. The architecture of the place itself, and more so Sadiq's unfinished mural on the ceiling that I had seen him describe so many times. But as Sadiq was interrupted by his death, his artistic masterpiece left in between, so was my father's life. When I had the chance to finally visit Fair Hall, a while back, everything about the irony of the situation was right there. The unfinished mural seemed symbolic to the unfinished father-daughter story that I had, just as if it had been interrupted mid-stroke. At the same time, I was entirely overwhelmed by the mural as it had been on the ceiling. Bold and brilliant, a story that told itself. Sadiq's mural also reminded me how every stroke before the last had been carefully crafted, full of meaning, full of color, full of things to say, just like my time with my dad. So Frey Hall has become special to me since then. I now call Karachi City of Stories. Even though it's known as the City of Lights, to me it will always be the City of Stories. So that's the first one. I promise this ends at a happy note. So the second one is called Absence, and I wrote it during quarantine. This was like the first month of quarantine, and I was just so frustrated with just being inside, and everyone was afraid. So I think a lot of these emotions, a lot of these people, a lot of you guys might relate to. It's called Absence. It was written on April 1st, 2020. Hello, I thought this was a time that required a letter. Absence. What a concept. I've never felt it as sharply as I feel it now. Confined to my home, detached from the world, overcome with fear and insecurity, I knew nothing of absence before this. This is what I know now. Love language. Mine is touch, it is embrace, it is laying my head on someone's shoulder, blissfully connected to them in silence. It is your hand when it brushes mine. It is me touching the tip of your nose when you make me laugh, when I touch the ends of your dark black hair in fascination, casually drawing circles on a part of your body as you open up about your day. Touch. Eyes. I haven't looked into someone's eyes in so long, been spoken to without anyone speaking. You tell me I am well, and I believe you, but if I could see your eyes, I would know the rest. I would know you are well, but you cannot fall asleep because your heart beats too fast. It is tired. You are well, but you sat at the edge of your bed in the middle of the day and balled up your fists to hold a scream in. Or you are well, but you are more than that. You are incandescently happy and you no longer feel alone. Even in these times, even despite everything, how will I know? Movement. This mass of flesh that you carry and which carries you, stagnant still, unable to move. I sense the slowness, the change in pace. When you are moving, you feel as if you are less a decaying piece of matter. If you run fast enough, they won't catch up. Freeness, occupying time rather than letting time occupy you. All 206 bones of me suddenly suspended. Am I meant to examine myself? Is that what this is? Noise, the sound of community, the sound of togetherness, the magical musical rhythm we all create just by being. Listening to a song, taking out one earphone and keeping the other one in, watching, listening as the sounds from the outside merge. The loud and conspicuous proof of human existence, of cohabiting, of billions of instruments playing across. It is the absences you feel the strongest that are most vital to you. Absence, as a concept, always felt one-sided to me, a feeling of lack of. In reality, absence more than anything else tells you what is present, or what you hope were present. The abundance of those who I speak my love language to. the ability to connect with people, the choice to go from point A to point B, the promise that I am not alone in carrying the burden of existence. This is the only way to find hope in these times, in absences, in contrasts. Love, Sameen. So this is the second one. It was frustrating. It was a very frustrating time. And the third one is called Evermore. It's the most recent one. It was written on December 16th, 2020. And it's a happy one. Sometimes it's the light, sometimes it's the air. I have my triggers to everything good and bad, we all know. I'm not sure what the trigger tonight is, but tonight's letter is about nothing and everything. Earlier this year, a friend and I found me at stalemate, so I went to therapy. Just as they show it in movies, I sat on a brown couch, upright, and the therapist said to me, "You will talk, both of us will listen. You will talk, and both of us will listen." I feel like that was the sentence that began to chip things off, like rust finally beginning to fall off an old metallic object after clinging onto it for so many years. The rust thinks it's a protective layer, but the rust is rust. Someone called it by its name, and I had no choice but to see it that way. A friend said to me today, this was a scary year, a bad year, a year that never happened, the year I don't remember. I remained silent. How can I not when every bone in my body felt this year? I felt it at the beginning, fresh out of failed love and grappling for air. I felt it in the middle, when the world stopped and so did I. I'd wished so long to be able to pause life when I wanted to. But then it did, and I realized I'd been making all the wrong wishes. And then the second half happened, an accelerated second half. I turned 24 and something in my world altered. I wore this t-shirt with a Mona Lisa on it, with blue cotton pants, Taylor Swift made new music. She said, "Devil's in the details." I became comfortable with waking up at 8 a.m., starting my day with a cup of coffee in my hand. I started dancing. I was explaining, it's like starting your car on a cold winter morning. You turn the car key twice, and the car wakes up with a small roar. And then you let it stay. You let it warm up. You give it a few minutes before you drive off. That was the last 6 months, sitting on your cold car seat as you wait. Then instantly, abruptly, I became happy. I talked and I listened, so I became happy. It went like so. I'd always seen the light at the end of the tunnel. This is my life's truth. What I hadn't been seeing was the end, the distance to the light, the bumps in the road, the reckless drivers almost causing me to swerve. Happiness is fleeting when you define it as happiness. When you define it as an ability to make your way across a dark tunnel, that is when it becomes a constant. And so for the final half, interesting things happened. I met this famous, beautiful older man at a party 2 years ago who had told me I was amazing. And in reconnecting, I felt intellectually challenged again. I adopted a cat who would try running out the door every chance she had. In her rush for trying to escape, I found amusement in my own desire to leave home. A silent, shy boy became a musical sort of thing for me, so I gave him a flower. My family became sick and I became the caretaker. Just as quickly as they had gotten the virus, they recovered. A painful, haunting time did not become a life event, and I felt thankful. I felt thankful for everything. Nothing and everything, that was the year. I hope you're all staying healthy and loved. Yours, Sameen. So yeah, that was me. I'm just going to leave everyone with like a thought or a question, is just think about a few things that you're thankful about today. Because I think the past year kind of was all about that for me, just trying to figure out what I'm thankful for, and turns out there's a lot